I welcome you to the session on active listening with examples. Friends, I want to tell a story. I went to a doctor with one of my close relatives. I was trying to explain the problem to the doctor, stating these are all the symptoms that my relative has gone through. And I was trying to tell the history, and I was in a mood to explain all these symptoms so that he can do a proper educated guess and provide a proper direction. The doctor was not listening to me. He was checking his mobile phone in between. And at the end of my summarization, he told that, you're unnecessarily getting tense. And he gave some medicine and we purchased that, and it did not work. And having paid the consultation fees, right? And I did not feel value for the money that I have invested there. Similarly, as a parent, when we go to parent-teachers meeting, right? It is only one way. The teacher comes and tells their remarks on our student or on our child. Okay, they're more worried about their appearance, their language, and their beautiful English pronunciation, and they just tell what they think about our child. If our child is in primary classes or early part of higher school, then they will mostly tell good things. Once our child comes to 9th and 10th class, they tell about the improvement areas. But very few scenarios I have seen a situation wherein they tell, okay, how do you find our teaching? What kind of improvements we can make? And let us be together in terms of the child, the parent, and the student, and what the child is telling about the teaching and the quality of teaching at home. How can we improve further? Is there any feedback about us? So that kind of listening, that kind of open questioning, that kind of openness in terms of taking feedback is missing. At the end, we go and seek the feedback from the teacher, and we go in our own world. So that's what is happening. Similarly, I see that even on the workplaces also, there are scenarios wherein the employee and the manager, they really don't understand each other. In a scenario wherein the employee wants to convey the true problems that the employee is facing, the manager doesn't lead the conversations properly. The manager does not listen with a feeling of understanding the context faced by the employee. So at the end, the employee feels stressed. And in some scenarios, the manager wants to work for the betterment of the employee, and the manager tries to put different examples to convey a message to the employee that there needs an improvement, but the employee applies a filter on top of his own lens, and he perceives the manager's views in his way, and at the end there is a disconnect. So I personally believe today active listening is the needed quality at this point in time. My friends, today there is an evolution of information. Everybody is knowledgeable. Everybody is good at their own pace. But what is missing is we are unable to work with each other. One of the traits that I see as the gap is active listening. So that's why I have taken this topic called active listening. And we will also cover different examples so that we can perceive this active listening as a subject, and we try to learn and practice it. Okay, with this, let me get into the presentation. So what is active listening? Active listening means we actively listen to the speaker with full concentration, so that we wanted to understand the feel factor of what the speaker is telling, the content and the feeling and the context of the speaker. So basically, it is like intense listening with focused attention on what the speaker is telling, what are his emotions, what are his feelings, and if I am in his shoes, and if I am explaining this and I want to see the situation from his viewpoint. I repeat, what is active listening? The active listening requires full concentration about what the speaker is talking, his context, his feelings. So we need to pay a focused attention on the speaker so that we can actually see the situation from his lens. When we try to see the situation from his lens, we not only understand what is being told, that means the content, the context, the emotions, and the tone. So that means we try to learn not just what is being told, that means content. In addition to that, the context and the emotions and the level of comprehension of the speaker as well. So we try to learn by empathizing, by being in that person's shoes. We try to see the message. That is called active listening. So in one way, active listening is a focused listening with an intent to learn from his point of view how he is perceiving the context. So in this process, we will not apply any filter of our own selective learning or selective judgment. We keep our feelings away and we try to listen about the speaker's intent, content, context, emotions. So this is what is active listening. Now, what are the signs of active listening? First of all, the non-verbal part. That means eye contact. For example, if I'm listening to the speaker actively, I maintain a eye-to-eye contact. And then I keep a smiley face on me so that the speaker is encouraged to communicate in an open and safe environment. So I keep a smile on my face and I exhibit an open body posture so that the speaker feels confident about sharing his views with me. And then mirroring. For example, if the speaker is feeling hurt, that he says, I felt hurt at this situation, then you need to really see this movie from his standpoint of view, from his lens, so that you can actually mirror his viewpoint, so you can actually feel his feel factor. These are the non-verbal factors. What are the verbal factors that is actually visible? One is positive reinforcement. So for example, whenever he tries to convey some content, after going to some extent, you want to summarize or paraphrase. Is this what you are trying to tell? And then remembering, for example, at one point in time you told me about this, and now you are you are conveying the same thing once again. And then we need to demonstrate a concern towards that person's message, right? So these are the signs of active listening. Now let us understand why active listening. See friends, I'm telling you, if you learn this art of active listening, it brings out creative energy. That means, see, many people don't come to us for solution most of the times. They come to us for an ear. That means somebody to hear about their problem. So the moment you pay attention to the speaker's problem and you show a true concern and empathy to the speaker's problem, then it brings out creative energy most of the times from the speaker. And the speaker also try to collaborate with us in a productive way. because we try to ask right questions, deep questions, open-ended questions. So thereby those questions we question in a true concern of identifying what is the real root cause. So once we go in that mode of getting into open-ended questions and showing true concern about the speaker's problem and showing empathy to the speaker, then it brings out a productive collaboration. And it forms the basis of meaningful collaboration. And it enforces or builds true connection with proper trust. So that's why active listening is a team bonding. It's basically a bonding activity between the speaker and the listener, and it also enables powerful coaching that leads to better problem solving. There are many situations wherein people come to explain about their problem, but once you facilitate the active listening process properly, it actually leads to a situation wherein the speaker feels more safe and convinced that I am with a proper manager and proper listener. And it basically, if the listener conveys or drives the problem in a proper way, it leads to better problem solving. Okay, so as Stephen Covey said in his book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, most people do not listen with an intent to understand. I repeat, most people do not listen with an intent to understand. They listen with an intent to reply. Or while the speaker is speaking, the listener is preparing in his mind what to respond. So what to reply with that concept, the listener will be listening to the speaker. So most people do not listen with an intent to understand, but they listen with an intent to reply. Also, we do selective listening with the belief that we already know enough and choose to remember only the information relevant to us. See, I have seen this problem with many people with power. Okay, so they have certain bias, certain opinion about the people on the ground. Oh, this person, he talks more. This person, he does not work, but however, he tries to ask for many things. So there is a judgment or a bias they keep in their mind, and with that mind, they will be listening. So when the speaker is telling, they only listen to selective parts of it. So because of this, they lose the real message the speaker is trying to tell. So this is why the active listening is very important. Okay. So friends, I wanted to bring a structure to the active listening process. Okay. First point is there are 3 levels involved. First is internal listening. That means while the speaker is speaking, the listener listens what to speak. So he only listens part of the messages of the speaker. He will be thinking internally how to respond back. We will see it in detail. The second stage of learning is focused learning. That means here we listen to understand. Okay, we try to understand. We keep away our own feelings and our own filters. We try to listen to really understand what has happened. And third one is global listening. That means here we listen to learn. For example, if a person has done something in some way, why he has to do like that? He has a noble intention. He's a good guy, but how he happened to do like that? So you try to go extra mile and tries to perceive or try to learn what he has done. For example, friends, I'm telling you, there are good people and bad people. Now, if you are in that situation, if you are in that constraints, if you are with that maturity, probably that is how you respond to the situation. There's a learning, because those kind of situations have not come to us. But in this conversation, is a learning to me in a global listening, that is a level 3. You not only listen with an intent to understand, but you also apply a listen to learn. Okay, this can happen in this way. right? So if you see here, many investigative agencies, they are in level 2 and level 3, right? They are in level 2 and level 3. I wanted to tell you, the active listening is a powerful art on the ground today, right? So I'm telling you, a doctor, if he or she listens to patients, there's a great market for doctors today. I can tell you, doctors, they treat many patients, at least in Indian arena, they treat many patients. They are more focused on how many number of patients I see in a day, so that they can get that much money. But that will only give them short-term or immediate benefit. But in the long term, it is your active listening. The patient will feel indebted to the doctor. The patient treats doctor as next to God, right? And today, doctors are not listening to patients properly. Teachers are not listening to parents properly. Managers requires greater improvement in listening to their employees. Employees require greater maturity in understanding their company's targets and managers. So today we are capable of everything, but the basic ingredient, right, called listening is missing. Many people are speaking, but we also need to listen. When we listen, we learn, and we are actually unfolding the active listening into three parts. Part one, internal listening. That means you are the basic level of listener. You listen to speak. And the second stage is more mature stage, that is called focus listening. We listen to understand. The third one is global listening. We listen to learn, right? Let us unfold these phases in more detailed way. Okay, the first phase is internal listening. As I said, we listen to speak instantly and unconsciously. That means if a conversation is happening, we instantly speak. For example, if the speaker tells something that is not good as per our opinion, we interrupt them, we speak, we respond, because of which, and this happens unconsciously. And when we interrupt the speaker, what happens is the discussion will go in a different way. So this is where you see, when you speak, you wanted to talk on specific content, and because of these interruptions, what happens is the discussion will go in a different way, and the actual message that you wanted to discuss is something, and the derivatives, the side context will become more prominent, and that relation will never merge. It happens both at workplace and personal space. So in this stage of listening, people speak instantly, and they don't know that they are reacting like that. It happens unconsciously. The second point is, what we hear, how we respond is largely influenced by our own thoughts and emotions. For example, you have done a proper meditation, and then you are approaching to the conversation. You show great amount of understanding. For example, you are coming from a tense situation, and then you really want to show off on the speaker at that point in time. So I have come across this kind of situation. My managers, they tend to be show little concern about my problem when they come out of their problematic meetings. So they are at the internal listening state, and the listener pay more attention to what's going on inside us and less to the outside. That means we show less concern to the speaker. We only try to say what is happening inside us. So in this situation, the speaker will be speaking less, the listener will be speaking more. So somebody try to explain his problem, we give less opportunity for them to speak. Instead, we become preachers or speaking agents there. So as a manager, we are supposed to be listening, but we keep talking. And at the end of the day, God knows whether the employee's concern is heard or not. The next thing is, we hear the words being spoken, And although we are attentive, we interrupt them through our own lens. That means, you know what, the employee says, I felt this way, I felt this way. Then the manager says, I got a feedback about you stating this, stating that. So basically, we don't want to hear fully, rather selectively with our own judgment, we try to interrupt, and then it's a space of no listening, right? And then also with the fear of how this is going to affect me, we miss the speaker's real message. So internal listening is the basic listening level, where we all start the journey of internal listening. Let us have an example. Okay, so let's have the example to really understand what is this internal listening level is. Okay, there is a sample conversation, the employee and manager. So employee comes to manager to solve his problem. The employee says, I don't want to work on this project anymore as my skills are not being utilized properly here. Can you give me another project to work upon? Then manager responds saying that this is indeed a good project. I trust you will do a good job of it. Once this project gets completed, we can discuss other projects where your skills will be helpful. So employee try to convey the message that, I don't want to work on this project. So the manager listened only that. And manager only listened that employee doesn't want to work on this project. Or manager only listened selectively that, he wants to work on another project. And then he's saying that, after this project gets completed, we can allocate you to another project. That means he did selective listening. The manager is missing one point that, the employee's skills are not utilized on this project. That point he's missing. Instead, he's doing a selective listening about employee wants to work on another project. That's the part only he's taking. And then he is giving instant judgment saying that once this project gets completed, we will allocate you to the next project. So this is what is happening, right? So here, the real problem that, the employee is unable to work in the current project. Why is he not able to work on the current project? There is no focus on that. So that's why that actual problem that the employee want to bring it out, the manager could not guess it, could not gauge it, and that part is being missed. So this is what is internal listening is all about. Now, the second stage is focused listening. So this is a matured stage compared to internal listening stage, right? In focused listening, we listen to understand, we channelize all our energy, and we pay attention to the other person and their words, right? So in focused listening, it's with an intent to understand his problem, we pay attention and we pay active listening, okay? And the process, we let go our own thoughts, we put ourselves in the mind of the speaker. And also, we show true empathy towards the speaker's thoughts, experiences, and emotions while they tell about their situation. And we take a keen interest in the other person and hear everything they have to say. Okay, we learn because it doesn't come easily. We learn to stop our personal filters, our personal biases, and attaching any other additional meanings to the speaker's words, and we avoid making judgments then and there itself. This is what is focused listening. And let us see the same example on how it will be conversed if it is focused listening from the listener. So you are a manager, and employee comes to you and says, I don't want to work on this project anymore as my skills are not being used properly. Can you give me another project to work upon? Then manager says, I sense that something about this project is upsetting you. When we started, you were very excited about it, but I don't notice the same excitement anymore. Can you help me understand if you are facing some challenges with this project? Then employee felt, the manager is connecting to my issue. Then he wants to open up and says, yes, you're right. I'm upset. To complete my work, I have to follow up with other teams to resolve my dependencies. And those dependencies are not getting resolved on time. And hence, I'm unable to work. I am unable to complete my work on time. And it is hitting my productivity. I have faced it many number of times. And I can't face it anymore, is what his employee is telling. Then manager says, I understand that, the delay caused in the external dependencies, that is upsetting you because you are unable to complete your work on time. You are keeping on in wait mode for many number of hours or days. And because of this, you feel your productive work is getting impacted. I appreciate that you brought it up. Now, can you tell me what are the things that you try to solve the problem from your end? Okay, now you see what's happening. First, the employee is opening up. The dialogue is going to the next level. Okay, now the manager is reflecting on employees' feelings. Okay, that I am upset. I am upset about what? I'm upset about the issue I'm facing. Then the moment he shared that feeling, the moment the manager feels the empathy and asks the question, then the employee is opening up. And then the manager is able to bring the actual issue out of the employee. In the first statement, the employee says, I can't work on this project. I need a project change. In the second statement, the employee says, you're right that I'm upset because the external dependencies are not getting resolved on time and I am in a wait mode for many days. So the manager is now bringing employee into problem solving mindset, that what did you do to resolve it from your end? And then he's actually engaging the employee in a problem solving mindset, that I have a manager who understands, who shares my problem. Now he's ready to do his bit. I want to do my bit. How can we together solve the problem? This is what is the fruit of focused listening. Okay, now let's go to third level called global listening. In global listening, we listen to learn beyond words or what's being said, right? In the second stage called focused listening, we are trying to understand. But in global listening, beyond words, beyond what is being told, we try to sense those vibes, those cues, and try to learn the context of the employee. Okay, the Peter Drucker said, the most important thing in communication is hearing what is not being said. I repeat, the most important thing in communication is hearing what is not being said. So that means we have to listen how the employee is speaking, his emotions, his tone, his reaction, his openness to share or reluctance to give the information. These subtle cues in the form of facial expression, body language, it enriches the information that helps us to get the underlying message or intent of the conversation. So friends, I'm telling you, nowadays, we have to be experts in global listening, because people are becoming experts in communication. Certain times, many people, they are not conveying the actual message. They decide inside and they just talk outside. Now, to get that, no, it's very difficult. That means that people are closed in their heart, but they want to carry forward the communication formalities. So this you'll come across in situation wherein an employee resigns. They're hurt, they're closed at their heart. They don't want to open because they feel that may not get solved. So they're closed, but they come to conversation for sake of process formality, right? So in that kind of situation, the cues, the vibes, the way the person speaks, his posture, those things will give more message to us rather than what the content of the message. Okay, so this is just one example. In many examples, I'm telling you, in any conflicting situation also, people are not ready to share their problems, maybe because they have lost their trust. They have their own genuine reasons, but it is the cues, the verb, the facial expressions, the emotion, the tone, the reaction, the kind of questions, the timing, the choice of the words. Those are the things actually convey the context and more meaning about the conversation, the real message about the context to us. So this is the matured level of listening, and it can only come with experience and practice. So it can't come just once we get trained. It comes with a passion to master this art of listening. So it comes with experience and practice. So in the same case where employee expressed to the manager stating, I want a project change, what happens in a global listening? So one inference the manager can have is the employee has done nothing about resolving the dependencies. You understand? In the focus listening, the manager asked, I appreciate that you brought this issue up. Would you be open to sharing some of the things you tried to solve the problem? Right now, the way the employee responds, and by observing the cues and vibes, the tone, the emotions, the facial expressions, we may figure it out that employee has done nothing about resolving the dependencies, and probably he has not been performing well in the past few months, and he's now concerned that his appraisal may get hit. So he wants change of project so that there is a change of supervisor, and he may easily escape from the current appraisal assessment. There can be one inference like that, because nowadays, my friends, whatever people are telling, they really don't mean by it. So that is what is also happening. And there can be a positive inference on the other side is the employee has done everything about resolving the dependencies, but however, the critical members of this project and other project, they are complacent and they're in a state of happy mood, and they do not exert a sense of urgency to resolve the dependencies. So the employee, whatever issue he's speaking, it is not his issue, it is the issue of the ground. And if it continues like that, then soon we will get into a problematic state. So it is no more an issue expressed by the employee, it is an issue felt at the ground level. So these things you can actually understand by observing the non-verbal cues, like tone, choice of the words, the body language, the openness. So likewise, you get these inferences. So with an example, we have understood what are the levels of listening. Okay, one is internal listening. In this mode, we listen to the speaker with an intent to reply. Second is focused listening. That means here we try to understand the real issue the speaker is talking about. We try to engage in a more meaningful way so that we try to get into a problem-solving mode. The third is we listen to learn. We listen to learn. We try to grasp the cues, the vibes, and we try to infer the context. So these are the three levels of listening. And friends, when you are listening, maybe with your employees, maybe with your reportees, maybe with your supervisor, maybe with your personal relatives, you can always guess at what level I am in this conversation. That just thought, that very thought of at what level I am now, it makes you focus on matured listening. And once you listen, believe me, friends, that the speakers will take you more close, because friends, today problems are solved by themselves. What they need is an ear to hear, so that you ask more questions. See, at the end of it, it is just not listening. It is about different questioning. For example, we have to ask more probing questions that makes them think whether they have done right or wrong, whether they are going in right direction or a wrong direction. Okay, so these are the three levels of listening. Now, what is the process to actively listen? Okay, first step is, once the speaker is sharing his views, first you collect the data. See, friends, first you understand is you are listening does not mean you agree. I repeat, your listening does not mean you agree, right? So your listening means you are trying to understand the other's viewpoint. Okay, so as part of it, first you need to collect the raw data. That means, what are the verbal points that are being told to me? What are the non-verbal cues that I'm listening? And that I have to do as a listener without applying any personal filters, any selective biases. So I have to listen and I have to collect the data. Then I have to go back to my place and I have to process it. Okay, what is the context the speaker is in? What is the level of maturity the speaker is in? What is the reporting hierarchy he is in? What are the constraints he is having? Okay, and given that context, given that maturity, and how he could have responded or what he responded, and what it is talking about him, about the context, and can I have a more one-on-one discussions with other people in the same project team? Can I hear their viewpoints as well, right? And then can I triangulate? That means all the three, you speak to three people and about a context, and can I really guess what's happening there? And then you come to the speaker and engage with him actively and say, look, I have certain good questions. I have certain open questions, which if you can answer, you can actually help me understand the context more better. So I came to know, we don't share the other people's names, but I came to know that such and such thing happened. And on that day, you were absent. May I know what is the reasons for that? Were you, may I know what are the reasons for that? At certain point in time, you felt like that. I figured it out that the context was like this. Now, do you see the same situation, or what are your thoughts about it? So the moment you do your groundwork, when I say groundwork, processing with the context, talking to other people about the context with an intent to understand the problem, with an intent to solve the problem, and then you go and tell that person more awareness about the context. The speaker also will be showing engagement and share more insights to us. So either it may lead to more follow-up questions wherein you get clarity, or you think that you have done sufficient discussions, and you come to a stage of, probably if you do this kind of a thing, it might help, kind of a stuff. But in many scenarios, if you collect the data with no personal biases, if you process it, and when you ask more open-ended and deep questions with an intent to really solve the problem, the speaker will himself or herself figure out the solution for themselves, right? This is the process. Collect the raw data, both verbal and non-verbal. Go back to your table and process it with context. If needed, you engage with others involved in the context. Try to see from their point of view what has happened, and then ask more follow-up questions. And in the process, just those follow-up questions itself will make the speaker where that person is actually can show improvement, or if he has gone wrong, how he can correct himself. So if at the last step, probably you can share an advice. Okay, this is the process. Now, what are the habits to listen actively? First habit is you listen to understand. See, friends, I'm telling you, however experienced I am, okay, I need to show that experience in terms of listening to understand. Okay, And listening to respond is the very fundamental basic level of listening. We need to go to focused and global listening levels, and we need to ask deeper questions. When I say deeper questions, deeper open questions that unfolds the realities about the context. And then we have to focus on the conversations. Like we have to focus while people are speaking. No, we should not look at mobile phone. We should really focus on conversations. If some phone call comes, you have to apologize and ask the person to wait for a minute and quickly close the call and come back, apologize, and start the conversation. And many a times paraphrase it, summarize it, so that the speaker feels that his intent is being understood positively. And then during listening, we need to speak less. We have to speak less. We have to listen more. Just keep 10 number count: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If at all you want to speak, don't speak. Listen. When you listen, you learn more. When you speak, you learn less. So that's why keep your mouth shut and listen. That is a listening phase. Many people are failing, and because of this, we are doing injustice to the context, to the team, to the project, and to the whole organization. And then slow down. See, basically, you have to practice silence. If at all you tend to, or you're tempted to give advice, don't give advice. Slow down. You can give later. The advice can be given later. Practice silence. Just being silent, right? And so that if you show a cautious silence, that will make the speaker to talk more, to give more insights, and those are the cues for you. And withhold judgment. Don't judge. That's not the objective of listening. And whatever are the tones, the emotions, the feelings, the posture, the body language, and all those non-verbal cues, you take it and note it. So these are the habits of actively listening. And the other habits that can help is be attentive. That means train your mind that you are attentive to listening, because in listening you can learn a lot. Okay, that is the knowledge of the ground. Don't miss that opportunity to learn. Okay, and ask open-ended questions, right? And so that the speaker provides more information. In listening, we should be listening more. We should be speaking less. So when you ask open-ended questions, that triggers the speaker to speak more, to reveal more about his problem. Use positive body language. That means be in the speaker's shoes and try to see the situation with empathy, and request clarification whenever you wanted. Okay, you went there and you wanted this, and this is, and I don't understand where you felt uncomfortness there. Can you tell me the reason for that? And then you be tuned and reflect on feelings shared by the speaker. And then many times listening is sufficient. Don't give advice too quickly. Means you give advice very late in the game, that too you are very confident that the speaker takes your advice properly. Otherwise, don't give advice. Listening may be sufficient. Many times people come to us, many times they don't listen to us. They don't listen to us. They don't listen to our advice. They come to us just to share their feelings. And if they don't listen to me, then listen to my advice. They don't value my advice. Then what's point of sharing my advice? They are at a greater stress, so they need to be listened. So listen and don't give advice too quickly. And finally, summarize or paraphrase. Is this what you are telling? This is what I understood. This is what I understood about the context. This is what you felt at that point in time. Am I right in understanding? Likewise, you ask. So when you exhibit these habits, right, it basically helps you to practice the listening, where you shift from internal listening to focused listening. And when you shift from focused listening to global listening, in the stage 2, that is focused listening and global listening, we need leaders like this. We need leaders like this here at level 2 and level 3, right? And believe me, my friends, many of us are bringing great qualities to the ground. We're all capable, we're all educated, right? We all are capable from our experiences. But what we are missing is active listening. Maybe we are flooded with many activities. Maybe we are flooded with many issues. But because we don't listen to the ground, what is happening is we're falling very quickly. Great leaders, the tall leaders, many times I see once they start, they won't stop. So if they don't master the art of listening, they can't succeed. So that's why I believe active listening is the need of today's ground. As an employee, as a manager, or as a peer, it is important. Listen. Listening will give you more knowledge about the context. Sometimes you may listen about a person, that leads to the knowledge about the context. And if you understand the knowledge about the context, you can actually do something to resolve it. So don't lose the opportunity of learning about the context, and through active listening you can make it happen. I thank your interest to learn, and I look forward to adding more value add sessions in future. Thank you.